Hey there guys, what's going on? Gale here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for another Genshin Impact video. And today we're going to be doing a bit of a tier list video where we're going to be ranking all the Snezhnaya characters we saw in yesterday's PV in the Transcendence trailer. And it's all going to be solely based on appearance and obviously a little bit of lore, the little bit that we kind of got from the trailer. Of course, there's very little for some characters got a lot, but we're here to just go and rank them based on what we have seen. Now, of course, this video will contain no leaks because, for one, I don't think there's any leaks, period. But number two, I don't want to really rank these guys based on meta or what they actually do in game, because for me personally, Genshin's always been a game where I go for characters I usually want to get. Of course, that doesn't mean I can get everybody. I mean, Clorand, I remember I couldn't get her because she was right after Arlecchino, and Arlecchino took all my funds basically. And then in Nordcry, of course, as well, I think there were a couple of characters I wanted to get, but I couldn't. Nicole is for one, I couldn't get her because, of course, with Sandrone coming out in the next patch, as well as what's coming up in Snezhnaya, I had to make a conscious decision on who I wanted to go for, and did I want to go for Sandrone or Nicole. And for me, it was an easy decision. I was waiting for Sandrone a little bit more than I was waiting for Nicole, so I just made the decision that it's okay, I can skip a character and go for it. And maybe in the future, if a rerun comes in a very safe period, I can go for Nicole then. It doesn't matter. So for me, it's always been about go for characters I like the most, and then if you skip a couple, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? It's only a gacha game. It doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. And I think a lot of people need to remember that, because I feel like a lot of people, especially I know Genshin has always had this issue of not having as many pulls as HSR or Zenless and some other gacha games. And even now, you know, with how many characters we're getting with this new reactions and everything, we do feel the strain a little bit, right? With the average being around 70 to 80 pulls if you're lucky. It tends towards the 80, but more often than not, it's around the 70 mark. It can be a bit difficult, but I think people need to realize it's just a gacha game. It's not the end of the world if you miss out on a character. It can feel bad, understandably so, and you are completely in your rights to feel that way, but just remember, it's not the end of the world. There's always a second chance. There's always an opportunity to get them in a rerun, so don't stress in that sense. But anyways, that aside, all of that aside, I've got the trailer up as well here, just to go over the characters. We're going to take a look at the character first and foremost, and then we're going to obviously rank them accordingly. So the big character we saw at the very beginning was Vodianitsa, a character that we've heard about for a long time, like I mentioned in my videos yesterday, of course. A character that was mentioned in Linnea's story, it's not story, but in her about section in the character voiceover. Let's start off with Vodianitsa, because we've obviously seen her here. We saw her later on as well in the trailer. I didn't expect her looks to be the way it is. I do like it. I do think there's that a little bit of an ethereal feel, of course, that she's going on, that siren feel as well, which is in line with the little bits and bobs we've learned about her, of course, from obviously the story trailer with Sandrone during the tea party, the final gift animated short, of course, and also the about section for Linnea. I like her, but I think I'm gonna just put her in B for now. I think she's just gonna be there. Another thing to note as well, by the way, is if we go over to, where is it? Is it somewhere here? I think somebody said that she's got the hydro vision. I didn't see it particularly, to be honest. I must have not paid attention clearly in that moment, but she does seem to have a hydro vision of sorts, basically. So there is that as well. If you are interested in potentially going for Vodianitsa, of course, is that she is a hydro user. But yeah, I think I'm going to put her in B. Another thing to point out, by the way, as well, is that, like I said, I'm going to be using a little bit of lore in this situation. I mean, yesterday, so many people came up with so many theories and, you know, lore ideas potentially. You be sure to go check out all those guys. I made a video myself as well, so you guys can check out my video as well. But so many people, Minsleaf, Arnold, Murder of Birds, that is, Bran Online, he obviously had his reaction video. I don't know if he's got a theory video up, but so many of these guys have gone out and made theory videos. Go check them out as well, because I think it's super cool to see what these guys are, you know, doing in terms of storylines and where it could go, who might be right, who might be wrong. It's always fun to see come the end of Snezhnaya whether or not we were right or wrong in terms of our theories and lore ideas. So I put Vodinitsa over there. Alyosha is the next one, right? Because that's who we saw next. Yep, Alyosha we saw here. I think he's kind of cool. I do think he's kind of cool. I do like his design. Very Razor-like, if you want to even go as far as to say that, of course, with the wolf themology, and also just generally his appearance. I think he's gonna go in B as well for me. I think I'm not like a sucker for it. I do like the design. I do like the sort of patterns he's got going on, but I do feel he's a little plain in a way as well. At the same time, he's a little bit plain. So I'm gonna put him there. Now, however, we move on to Odette, I think, who we saw next, right? If I'm not mistaken, we did see Odette next, right? Yeah, Odette is here, and then we see her, of course, at the end of the Valeri and Alyosha fight, right around here. Yeah, there we go. Beautiful. Seems to have a stellar linchpin, as you can see right there. Again, like I said, I'm not going to focus too much on that. I like the design a lot. Odette kind of reminds me of who's that painter girl in Honkai Impact 3rd? Oh, I remember because during my bouts of not playing and playing again and not playing and not playing again, I remember there was a time I came back and there was this really fun event with this painter character. I just don't remember who it was. What was her name? What was her name? I'm gonna have to just Google it. Let me just check. Who is it? What was her name again? Grisale. How did I forget her name? She kind of reminds me a little bit of Grisale in a way with the hair color and just the facial structure a little bit. She reminds me, and maybe I'm tripping and you guys will be calling me out on it, but I do think there's a little bit of Grisale in it, and I really do like generally the aesthetic. The color aesthetic is always... I'm a sucker for characters in that color range, basically, of that light blue, gray, silver, white. I'm a sucker for this. That's why I was worried when Snezhnaya was announced. I was like, shit, I'm gonna get caught out with this. I'm really gonna get caught out with this. But yeah, Grisale. Odette, I have to put up in S tier. She, for me, I think is one of the most exciting character designs I've seen yet so far in terms of the pink coloring, the blue aesthetics, potentially ballerina assassin character. I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. Then we move on to Valeri. Valeri, to me, looks I will say a little bit generic. Bro is a little generic, I will say, but at the same time he does look cool, I will say. I mean, look at him, definitely a bit generic, but he is cool. I do think he's got a little bit of coolness to him. So I'm not gonna say that he's downright bad, but I do think he is a little plain as well at the same time. But I do like his design. I really do like his design, especially I think the armor, I think, is going to be what really adds to it, the clothing and the armor. And that also goes for the other male character who we'll come on to in a little bit. But I do like it overall. I do like Valeri. Is it somebody I'm gonna 100% summon for? Not sure yet. I think Valeri is gonna be dependent on, again, I feel like everybody who's in A, I'm gonna go over this tiering in a second properly, but everybody who's in A is probably gonna be in the range of, depends on who's in and around that region, to be quite honest, in terms of like, oh, if the Saritsa's coming out next, I have to go for her kind of thing, or if Odette is there, I have to go for Odette. I think it's gonna be more so dependent on that more than anything else. For me, S tier is, I think, a must summon. I think for me, I have to go for that character 100% all the way through, for sure. Next up, we have Vesna, if I'm not mistaken. I think Vesna was the next character we saw, of course, right? I'm not going to include Pulcinella, Pantalone, Tartaglia, and all that because, well, we don't, well, for one, we don't know if they're playable, Pantalone and Pulcinella especially, but these three are already playable, and I'm already going for them. Sandrone is definitely S tier. If we're going to say that she's not yet released, technically, she's an S then. She's an S already, okay? Okay, so let's move on to Vesna. Vesna, I like her design a lot. I do like her design. I like I mean, I'm a sucker a little bit also for, you know, this sort of I realize this. I'm a little bit of a sucker for pastel colors. I realize this sort of like light pink, light turquoise, blue sort of color scheme. I'm always a little bit of a sucker for those pastel color schemes. And obviously seeing a lot of that in this character in Vesna, I have to probably say that she might have to go into S tier already as well. Deliberating a little bit on A and S, but I think we'll go with S for now. I just think based on what we've seen, and also the idea of potentially her being the guard to the Tsaritsa, you know, significant role in that sense. Probably a very similar role to what we saw Floran play, but maybe a little bit more extreme on the side of like she will be a little bit more towards like a little bit more subservient to the Tsaritsa, in the sense that she will do everything the Tsaritsa says, no matter whether it's right or wrong. Whereas Florand was always like, you know, trying to help us when the need was there, of course, and whatnot. And Navia as well at the time. So that is also going to be something interesting. Another thing to note as well is that based on this trailer, right, we have to remember that Genshin's trailers always have a certain pattern in a way to it, right? Where the characters that we usually see at the start, at the very beginning of a story, they are not the ones that actually end up being with us for the majority of the story, if you get what I mean, right? You look at, for example, in Fontaine, Lenny Lynette, primarily the first characters we met, right? But then as the story developed and grew and whatnot, Navia was the one that actually became our partner for the majority of the story, right? Same thing in Natlan as well. Yes, we started with Kachina and Moalani, but then it grew on to be more so the likes of Auroron, Kinich, so on and so forth, Ian-san. And I think that comes into play as well, right? Is that, you know, as the story progresses, of course, you're gonna see a change in the partners we have in the region. That's probably going to be the same here. I think we're probably going to see Vodianitsa and Alyosha be our starting partners, and then we'll see potentially a transition into maybe Vesna, maybe Noi, potentially Danica, Mitya. Mitya, I think that's his name. Mitya might be a key partner as well, for sure. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. But anyways, Vesna, of course, right there. Then we move on to Danica. Initially, I really liked her design when I first saw it. But the more I look at it, I don't know what it is. It just feels like maybe the live 2D isn't doing it justice, and maybe it's something that we'll need to see in-game, very much like Nefer. Nefer was also somebody who I thought initially was a little bit like, I don't know what it was, maybe the pale lighting or what it, or generally the design that they initially showed, which was a little bit obviously, you know, they were cutting all over the place, not fully showing it obviously in the initial trailer for Not Cry. I didn't really like it, and I'm gonna have to put Danica in C's. Right now, my motivation to pull for her based on her appearance is at an all-time low. But again, story and also maybe what she does in game, maybe the way she looks in game changes my thought process in terms of, oh, maybe I want to put her in maybe an A potentially, right? I think I have to put her in C for now. I feel like there's something a little bit off, and I don't know what it is. It's not the maid outfit for sure, by the way. That's fine for me. I think that's okay. Again, it depends on her character and you know, what role she's playing effectively. That makes a difference. Usually the outfit does tell a story as well. So for me, I think that's not really a problem necessarily, as long as the story backs it up in some way, shape, or form. It's more so about just generally, do I think it's making sense? The story, the outfit, and everything in game. So we're gonna have to wait and see on Danica. Danica definitely was a little bit lackluster for me. Noi, on the other hand, I've seen so many people say he's not that good looking, or just generally that he's a little bit not washed is the right word, just too much is going on, or it's just too weird colors or whatever it is. I disagree. I think he looks really good. I think he's probably, out of the male characters, he's the better male character. Will I put him in S? I might put him in S, low-key, you know? I'm growing on to him more and more. The more I look at him, and I'm like, damn, it's the first proper male character I've wanted to summon for since Risley back in Fontaine. I'm not one, I'll be honest and say I'm not one to summon for male characters that much in comparison to all the female characters that we've gotten in Genshin Impact. But I do have to give a big shout out. Al Haitham was one that I really liked the design for. Risley, another one that I really like the design for. And Noi is getting there basically for me. Again, I'm very curious to see what his story is, of course, as well, because as he says, you know, compared to the eons gone by, this is a peaceful age. So he's been around for time. So that's going to be interesting to see how he comes into play. Mitya, I think, is an A character for me right now, just based on potential I see in him for story-wise. I think, you know, him having those only 2 seconds, being with the Kresnik torch, I think there's going to be a big role that he's going to play, you know, especially with the way his scarf was holding the book as well. He wasn't holding the book, the scarf was holding the book. I could see him play a bit of a role like Citlali potentially, you know, where he is obviously this knowledgeable individual who's been around for time but doesn't seem like he's been around for time. You'd think that he's just some random person, but I think he'll be like Citlali in that sense. And then of course the Tsaritsa. I mean, do I have to put her anywhere but S rank? I have to put her top of S rank. In all honesty, I really think that this is how I would probably go with my rankings. Let me just zoom in a little bit. There we go, so you guys can see it better. So just to go over it, the Tsaritsa, Odette, Sandrone, Vesna, and Noi are, I think, probably must pulls for me, which is, whew, it's gonna be a lot. I mean, I'm glad that I've saved up a lot. I'm at 70,000 Primo Gems. Of course, a little bit of that is gonna go this weekend or this week with Sandrone, right, in a few days time. I will say, of course, I do have 70,000 Primo Gems. I am only one multi away from Pity. If I lose that 50-50, I will get Capturing Radiance in the next pull. So what that does mean is that I am going to obviously be looking at potentially getting some good luck, hopefully. I mean, ideally, that's my hope, is I lose the 50-50. I know it's a bit of a weird one to say, but I do think it'll be better if I lose the 50-50 this time around, just to guarantee that Capturing Radiance going into Snezhnaya. But we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out. You know, it's just gonna have to come down to some luck and hopium and copium a little bit as well at the same time. So yeah, that is my S rank. 5 characters. It will be difficult, but I think we'll manage. In A rank, we've got Valeri and Mitya. In B rank, Vodyanitsa and Alyosha. And then, of course, in C, it's Danica. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well is that some of these guys might be 4 stars, right? I know some people have been already saying that Mitya and Alyosha look like they're the 4-star characters. It's still too early to say. You never know. It could be Vesna. It could be somebody else. Too early to say. Too early to say on who's the 4-star and who's the 5-star. For me, I would love a couple of 4 stars as well. I know people say that 4 stars are more difficult to pull and all that sort of stuff, and that's completely fair. It is true as well, to be quite honest. I know that there's so many characters that I've gotten a C2 off in terms of the 5 stars, but when going for the 4-star, the new 4-star on that banner, I only get like a C3 or C4. It happens. It is absolutely fair, but I also feel like at the same time, they come back more often. They are on the regular pool banner as well, immediately after they have left. So you tend to get them to C4, C5, C6 quickly enough at a point, right? It's not like a character that you're going for 5-star constellations for as well, to be fair. So I personally feel like it's fine if we get more 4 stars. I know there's always this debate between HSR and Genshin players about 4 stars or 5 stars and all that sort of jazz. I play both, so I can see the pros and cons from both sides personally. I think there's pros to obviously the way HSR does it, of course, with the free 5 stars as well. I think that's fantastic. I also see the pros that Genshin does with getting 4 stars in the game and obviously regularly giving them out to players when you have events and stuff like that, of course. Like this event, we're going to be getting Charlotte, right, in 6.7. 7.1 is where we should be getting another 4-star, and I hope it is a 4-star from Snezhnaya. That would be very nice if they do that, but who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'll be leaving a link to this tier list in the description as well, so you guys can use it yourselves and do some ranking yourselves. Let me know who you guys are going to be planning on summoning for priority-wise. I mean, I know most of you guys will probably say the Saritsa, but let me know if there's anybody else on the list that you're looking to summon for. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully, you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy.